Hey up everyone, hope you're all well on this Thursday. Welcome to the video, welcome to my channel. Tonight's video is going to be a bit different. It's going to be about St George and their current plight at the moment, and we're going to talk about the timeline leading up to it and some of the issues and some of the problems facing the club, because they're currently in the shite and it's absolutely diabolical. It's unacceptable, especially for you St George fans out there, because they're a proud club and they shouldn't be where they are. So we're going to talk about the club tonight and some of the problems that are facing the club at the moment, and maybe some solutions to how they can fix it. So on the face of it, St George Illawarra, they're a very successful, well recognised brand in Australia, in Australian sport. St George, 15 times premiership winners of the New South Wales Rugby League competition, and then when they formed the joint venture to become St George Illawarra, they won a further premiership, so they've won 16 premierships in total. Memberships, not really much of a problem there. Last year they had one of their worst ever years ever, complete shite. Still 21,000 members. This year they're up to 15,000 members. Given this current situation at the moment, I don't think it's going to get any bigger than that, but you never know. If results change, the memberships might go up again. For me personally, growing up, St George were always a club that was in the finals. They were always up there, even though they weren't winning the premierships, even though they lost 4 grand finals in the 1990s. They're always up there. And then going through to the 2000s, they're always in the finals as well. I think they only missed the finals twice in the 2000s. Now, St George for me is a club that, well, this is all kind of new to me over the last 10 years, seeing them struggle like this, because St George isn't a club that I really associate with struggling on the field. Last year they had probably the worst ever year that I've ever seen them play. You have to remember that St George have only ever come last 3 times, and the last of those was in 1938. So coming second last in 2019 was just totally unacceptable. In the last 10 years, they've only made the finals 3 times. So 2010 when they won the premiership, 2011, no, wait a minute, no, they've made it 4 times. 2010 when they won the premiership, 2011 when they reached the finals again, then they reached the finals in 2015, I believe, and then 2018 they reached the finals and were eliminated by South Sydney. So in the last 3 or 4 years, they've had 2 reviews, 2 internal reviews, the last one of which they actually got Phil Gould in. And he basically come out and said that there's a lot of things that the club would like to do, but they just don't have the money to do that. And one of those is in terms of the coaching. So I think they had their first review after they failed to meet the finals in 2017, and then they've had a second review just last year with Phil Gould involved. They've had numerous recruitment problems. So I'm not going to go through every year by year, but I'm going to tell you about maybe the last 1 or 2 years. So at the end of 2019, Gareth Widdop left the club. Reece Robson left the club. Ruben Garrick, who was a St George Junior, St George Illawarra Junior, he was never really ever given a go with St George, and he ended up signing with Manly. So you've got that problem there. Now we've just learned that Tyson Frizzell's going to Newcastle, and it's all been rubber stamped he's going. And one of the main reasons he said that he wanted to leave is because he wanted to win a premiership, and he just didn't see that at St George. Now the players that they've actually signed over the last year or so, they're getting rid of all these good players, especially Reece Robson. He's turning out to be an exciting talent. The players that they're bringing in to replace him are not great. I mean, they were probably good in their day, but they're coming towards the end of their careers, like Isaac Luke for one, Trent Merrin. They've also signed Braden Williami, who was always a fringe first grader before he went to England. Tyrell Fui Mayono, he's another one that they've signed, who was also a fringe first grader. Then recently, in the last 24 hours or so, we've learned that Jason Saab wants out of the club. He's not happy. And they've also got the Jack de Belin saga still going on. Jack de Bellin's on big money. He's still getting paid, so the club's quintessentially paying for a player that's not even out there. And I've heard rumours. Now this isn't this could be completely false, but I've heard rumours that Jack de Belin, he still trains with the squad, but the squad's kind of 50-50. There's some players that are standing by Jack de Belin and they're saying, look mate, you know, you may have or you may have not done something, but we're with you 100% on this. And then you've got other people in the group that don't want him there. They don't want him training, which is causing a rift in the playing group. The last match that they played against New Zealand, they were absolutely diabolical, and some experts and people have said that the players are not even up, they're not trying. I think in some players' cases that can be true, but for one player in particular, you can see that's true. Cameron McInnes, he made 70 tackles in that match. Going back to the recruitment, I think a player that they've regretted signing now is Corey Norman. Corey Norman wasn't very popular when he was at Parramatta, and when he left the club, everyone was celebrating, you know, having a great time that he was no longer part of the team. And look where Parramatta's gone since he's left. Even when he returned to Parramatta last year with St George, he was booed every time he touched the ball. So he wasn't a popular figure with us, and now I think he's taken that negativity and all those bad vibes and everything with him to St George. They've also got some other players that I don't think should be there, like your Tim Laffey's and people like that. But good news for St George fans is that with a lot of these players, they're coming to, I think 2020 is their last year of their contract, so the likes of Tim Laffey, Ewan Aiken, some of these other players that have been around for a while and need to be moved on are looking to be at that stage where they're going to be moved on. Also, I think with the recruitment, even though Tyson Frizzell is going, and even though Jack de Belin is looking at likely to go, because 2020 is the last year of his contract and who knows how long this saga is going to go on in the courts, they're going to have money to spare to sign some decent players, hopefully. Hopefully they don't go down the same line as Isaac Luke and Trent Merrin. And now we come to the big one. So we come to the coach itself. So Paul McGregor, he's been in charge of the club for I think 6 years now. He's taken them to the finals twice. Everyone of the club that's a supporter wants his head on a stick. They want it stuck on London Bridge. Unfortunately for St George fans out there, I'm going to tell you that Paul McGregor at this stage is going nowhere. I wouldn't really believe into those reports that he only has 2 matches to save his career, because Phil Gould says as part of that review, yes, they would like to do some stuff with the coaching situation, but they can't because they don't have the money to do so. From what I've read, if they were to terminate Paul McGregor now, they have to pay him out. The last year of his contract was which is nearly $1 million. They don't have $1 million to spare, so they're in one of those situations where they want to move on the coach, but they just can't. And I'm pretty sure they would want to put Shane Flanagan as the head coach, but unfortunately he's banned from head coaching until the start of the 2022 season. So in terms of that, they're kind of in a rock and a hard place. I think with St George, I think they're kind of stuck with McGregor for the foreseeable future, because they just don't have the money to sack him and pay him out, and they don't want to become like a West Tigers type of a club where they were in a situation where they were paying out 3 coaches at the same time. They don't want that. So I think they're stuck with Paul McGregor until the end of 2021. I think that's the main 2 problems with the club at the moment: the recruitment and the coach. The brand itself, the membership, the fans, the grounds that they play at, that's all sound. It's just to do with the recruitment and the coach. Off the field, in terms of finances, St George, because it's a 50-50 joint venture, St George and Illawarra, St George paid off the whole debt of the club to the NRL last year, and the Illawarra side of the joint venture was taken over by the Wind Corporation, who have a lot of money and who have good financial backing. So off the field financially, even though they don't have enough money to pay off the coach, I think in other teams they're doing all right. And once the clubs reopen again, and all the poker machines and all the money comes starting to roll back in the club, they should be sound. But I think it's going to be a really tough year for St George this year and probably next year. They have to really look at the recruitment and look at who they're getting. Another thing I should mention is the recruitment manager who is at Canberra now and is bringing in all these smashing players for Canberra. He used to be the recruitment manager for St George, so that kind of says it all. But I think what they really need to do is they need to realise, look, we're kind of stuck with what we got now. We're just going to have to really dig in, and we're going to have to find a way out of this situation. It's going to be similar to Parramatta, our situation. We were in a situation where we were kind of stuck with Stephen Kearney and we were stuck with Ricky Stewart, and we didn't have the greatest roster. We had a lot of recruitment problems, a lot of problems off the field and on the field, and we just had to kind of stick with it. We had to kind of go through all the shite, and then when we come out the other end, it was for the better. Even though the salary cap thingy happened before that 2014, 2015, we were kind of going places. And hopefully with St George, once they get out of this shite situation, they can get back to where they normally are, which is in the finals. That's how I remember them growing up. They were always in the finals. They were a finals team. So that's my video on St George, Illawarra, and my thoughts about what's going on there at the moment. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think needs to happen, what needs to improve for St George to be back up there in the finals places. Let me know. If you're enjoying the content, please like, share, subscribe. I'll be making some more Forgotten Clubs videos tomorrow and the day after, so stay tuned for those. But as always everyone, enjoy your Friday tomorrow, and I'll catch you all later. Tatty bye.